All right, good evening and welcome to tonight's committee of the whole meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We have met compliance with official notification. Roll call, please.
Brooke Taylor.
Here.
Sarah Schubert McCone.
Here.
Ed Gallagher.
Here.
Nick Olson.
Here.
Nick Schumacher. I'm here. President Steve Olson.
Here.
Gapsky excused.
All right, this meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education held in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for comments by members of the public during the meeting as indicated on the agenda. Members of the public wishing to address the board on any of the topics included on tonight's agenda may do so by signing up on the public comment sign-up sheet by the entrance prior to the start of the meeting. The board requests refraining from making any comments involving personally identifiable information about students, staff, or administration. Comments should be respectful, focused on the items being considered by the board, and will be restricted to 3 minutes in length. At this time, Ann, were there any comments by any members of the public?
No.
None of you wanted to, there as members of the public, say anything? All right, first up, report from our superintendent.
All right, well, I have one informational item, but I will just say today was our first day of school. It was a fabulous start. It started last week with our back to school lunch and Spartan Olympics with our staff on Tuesday of last week. And then today was our first day back with most of our students. Governor Evers did visit our middle school today. He likes to visit schools the first week of school, and he had asked to come up to Superior and visit our classrooms. So that was a nice treat today. So it's been a very successful back to school day. We've got Northern Lights who has some updates early in the year. I will pass it to you.
So brought your spirit squad.
Oh, you don't? Yeah, it's coming here. It's don't.
Might be coming.
It's happening.
There's only so much that I can really present on the first day of school. I want to reiterate what Amy said. We had a great first day. Went pretty smoothly. Our goal is get them here, get them fed, get them to the right home. And that was a success. So that's good.
Brooke wants all the stats.
All the stats. So here's what we're going to celebrate. We, as you know, kicked off the year with our Spartan Olympics, and Northern Lights was the Spirit Award winner. And so for those of you who, I feel like I saw a few of you guys there, for those of you that didn't get to make it, this is why we won the Spirit Award. We're the All-American Junior Spartans.
It's pretty intense.
I said it's like an 80s montage. It's like an 80s movie.
We're in as
As we're all dancing up in the stands, feet. Oh, we're having a good time.
We have 20-some new staff members between the positions and being new to the building. This was a really great way to come together. Mr. Jensen, our assistant principal.
Used to be faster than that.
Looks so serious. Very intense.
They were focused. I think for about 2 days after, they said their hands were sore from the ropes. Our special ed teachers and one of our paraprofessionals.
Love the football up there.
I believe our activities director found the largest size pants possible.
That was the point.
So probably one of the smallest people you could just wear. Crystal's here for the, not Northern Lights.
That sick hat on Crystal.
We'll say the high school came in honorable mention on the award. So they also represent, yes, they also represented very well.
Wish I had kept a tally of how many people this was the best school that they've ever had. It was not everybody.
Yeah, we received a lot of good feedback. Thank you, David, for taking the picture.
Yeah.
So you want to give me a time code? We want to carry, we want to maintain, you know, we started off having fun and we want to maintain that fun moving forward, and through our staff development and through the first day of school today, that's definitely still happening. So we might have to pull this out maybe mid-October and just
Remind people.
refresh everybody. One of the pieces that we report out on are what are some of our school challenges. We have some really cool opportunities this year that I think you could look at as challenges, but we as a whole have been looking at it as an opportunity with our new staff and with the new students to our building, and the dynamic that that we have coming in. Our summer schools is where it started. We had so many new kids at summer school, and in the 6 years I've been here, that was the best summer school session we've had. The new staff, it's the same thing. We started off right away off on the right foot. The staff were working together and they're getting around. The biggest challenge right now is trying to remember everybody's names. So we're working on that, but I'm really looking forward to kind of blending and merging the personalities and with the kids from the other buildings and the staff. And so far it's been going really well.
As I was interviewing kids today at the elementary, they already were making new friends with kids that they hadn't gone to school with before, and just kind of naturally happens.
Yeah,
Kind of nice.
It
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Our goal that we're working on this year is we're writing our goal around student growth. We don't necessarily know exactly what assessment tool or measurement, what we're using to measure our student growth yet. So I don't have the goal articulated for you guys because we have new kids. We have, and I know Kate has talked about the assessment being different in the fall and in the spring. So we have to really kind of figure out what we're going to measure and what tool we're going to use. But we know we're going to measure growth. Last year, one of our goals was to our kids, we wanted to see targeted and aggressive growth on FastBridge. And our K-1 group, the goal was we want to see 71% of our kids hit that, typical or aggressive growth. And we hit it at 70%. So we're really looking at the growth. Our grades 2 through 5 didn't hit their target goal, but we broke it down and identified how many kids changed risk levels, going from some risk to no risk, and the growth is what's important. So that's what we're going to be measuring. So when I come back later this year, I'll share out on kind of where we're at with all of that. Really, this is the piece. This is the piece that matters the most. You know, how are we going to do this? And as a leadership team, when we were together at Cooper for our shared leadership work, we have a representative from every grade level. And as a team, they really wanted to focus on our PLC work. And I think our shared leadership team does a phenomenal job of they drive the work that we're going to do in the classroom. And that's based off of the data. What are the needs of our school? And we looked at the data with the kids that came in to us. But really at the core, what is it we want to work on? So we're focusing on our PLC work with intentionality, with our research-based intervention strategies during our boost time. We really have to lock in fidelity to our curriculum, teach it the way it's intended to be taught. So we're going to focus on our core. Accountability is a key word for us this year, not coming from the top down, but from our colleagues in our teams. We want to make sure, hey, this is what we said we're going to do, and we're going to hold each other accountable to do it. And in the end, we're going to be seeing student growth. So the work that we're going to do is coming out from our PLCs, and our leaders, our instructional leaders will be the teachers. And I'm excited about that. Questions?
Pretty clear.
Pretty clear.
Come on, bro.
Yeah.
I think it's important. You know, of course, our students are going to adapt and they're going to get friends, but I think it's important just to make sure we're checking in on our kids, all of our kids. You know, the transition for some is going to be harder than others. And so just making sure that everybody is feeling, you know, comfortable and included and all of that. So
Yeah.
it's hard. Some of the kids are,
Circles going on today, and that was one of the common questions I heard. How do you feel about being here in a new school today?
yeah.
You know, we were walking kids to class, and gosh, I'm kind of nervous. I said, yeah. There's other kids I talked to this morning, they're nervous too. So you're not alone.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right. It's important. Yeah.
So the attendance at the open house was quite well,
Yeah, we had a good.
quite large, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
that helps a little bit too with the
Mhm.
introduction and the
It really does.
part of the transition process. Good.
And some of the events we had in the spring to bring kids in, and then having kids there for summer school also really helped. Still have nerves though. Some of our new teachers.
Right.
Every kid is different. All different response.
Right,
No,
thank you.
Thank you.
I'd say too, the whole back to school thing with teachers was great. I emailed Amy this, but all the festivities at the high school were pretty great in my opinion. And I saw your entire school walk back to Northern Lights like a
Wow.
little field trip.
It was great.
Just really felt like teachers need time to celebrate each other, and yeah, it's important to take time for each other. So it was good.
Yeah, and when they were walking back, I kind of was noticing the pairings of, you know, who are they walking with, and there's a few like I don't know that I've ever seen you guys hang out, or you know, because you're in different parts of the building. So that was fun to see too.
That should go without saying too. You've got a remarkable staff here that helped you
They did, yeah.
that day, and
Yeah, Ella was,
thank all of
yeah,
you.
MC up there for me, along with Marie. Marie was a big hit, so it was
Yeah.
a team effort. It was very fun.
Hey, Crystal, your headgear. That was amazing. Got that?
Vintage.
Case I need it again.
Great.
Is Molly discussing workman's comp?
Nope, we're all good.
I like Ella's little plug there too for the insurance.
Yeah.
All I got.
All right, good. All right, thank you. Next up is the Budget and Insurance Committee, Mr. Nick Olson.
One action item, gifts, grants, and bequests. Administration recommends approval to accept gifts, grants, and bequests received in August 2024.
What is the one, the Mr. Matz and the Benevity?
That is one that I didn't want to do, but Ella talked me into.
Can you make it bigger? I can't read it.
Because it is a program, correct me if I'm misspeak, Ella, but it's a program where if somebody does some community service, the company they work for will contribute some money to whatever cause they want. So this Benevita is the company that actually provides the money. So like, I know Synovus does it a lot for.
Yeah, because I think Ian works for,
So they'll do some community service, and in return, Synovus will make a donation to the school district. And Benevita is
Sure.
the interesting.
Sure.
cool.
That was an elephant, but she wouldn't leave me alone. Now it's working out, so she would.
Dig the Pink will be tied in with the volleyball then, I would assume, but maybe not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Make a motion approved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. One discussion item, referendum 2024 update.
Yep, so, first of all, we're gonna have our first community meeting or event on Tuesday, September 10th. So next week at Northern Lights, 6 o'clock. One thing I wanna do is I wanna give a quick my quick bullet points, because I'm sure you guys are getting questioned all the time about why we're doing this referendum. And I just want to figure a way to give you guys some bullet points and kind of what I've been telling people. So the big thing when somebody comes in and says, hey, why are you going to an operational referendum? It's 100% because the state of Wisconsin is not fully funding public education. For the last 15 years, public education has not been a priority, but private schools have. So every time they reduce that funding or don't fund public education, they're actually in the background giving more money to private charter schools. 85% of school districts have gone out for operational referendums in the past. We're part of the 15% that hasn't. This is to make it so we can sustain and so our children don't have to feel the consequences of the state not fully funding public education. Second point I'd like to go over is, I don't know about you guys, but I value my kid. I consider my kid to be worth as much as this Madison kids, Milwaukee, Racine, Green Bay, or Claire. My kid's worth as much as them. But if you ask the state, they're not. The average per student on the revenue limit for us is $11,200. The average is $12,500. If we were just valuing our students the same as they do just as an average across the state, I'm not talking to you about an operational referendum. So I think that's people need to understand that.
And our legislative priorities continue to need to be to reiterate that we raise the revenue limit.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the final point is this question, this operational referendum, what it comes down to is we are asking the community who's got to make that sacrifice. The state says you're making a sacrifice. Regardless of what happens, you are making a sacrifice. The state says that's what we're doing. The question is who's going to make that sacrifice? Are students going to do it by having larger class sizes? Imagine, you go from 23 to 30 kids. Sometimes people will say that's not a big deal. The first thing I'd say back to them is throw a birthday party and add 70 more kids and tell them how it is. It's going to be reduced opportunities for our kids, not just sports. And this will touch sports. This will touch extracurricular activities and athletics and stuff like that. But it's AP classes. It's college courses. It's certifications in the trades for our welders to be certified when they go out there. If the state's not going to give us the resources, we're not going to be able to do it. And then also it's the kids on the other side of the spectrum that need the extra help. Also, we're not going to be able to provide those services to those kids because we have to make cuts. Or the alternative is the property taxpayers make a sacrifice. And that sacrifice is $7 per $100,000 homes. So as an example, if your house is worth $200,000, it's $14 a year. And I'm guessing most people are in the same boat as I am, where I have a mortgage payment. What that means is I'm going to pay an extra $1.16 on my escrow or my mortgage payment every single month. That's the sacrifice we're asking the community to make. And the big thing is that doesn't mean your taxes are just going to go that amount. In the background, the state's playing some fun games right now, and they're going to jackstrip it. They're going to increase taxes. That's just what they're doing in the background. Equalization aid goes down, everything like that. What this referendum is, it's just about what it's going to be no matter what. You got your sunk costs, and you got this referendum which comes on top. So I think it's getting that message out there. So we have this meeting on Tuesday, September 10th. I've talked to, a couple of people at the public and said, hey, you should come to this. And you're going to do that meeting and there's going to be like 5 people there. I need people to show up. So I'm asking you guys as a board, 1, to come, and 2, to bring 3 to 5 people. Because if you guys bring 3 to 5 people, I'm going to have, around 20 people. I've already talked to SFT. They're going to get a letter and email out to the teacher association saying, we need you to come to that meeting, but more important, we need you to bring somebody with that doesn't work with the school district. My goal is this is how we get out to the community at the beginning and find a group that's willing to fight for us. Because I can tell them blue in the face about how the state isn't funding public education, but you're going to think I'm biased. If it comes from, John Doe taxpayer out there that says, hey, I kind of understand this now. This is what we need to do. That's how this referendum would happen. So, and if you guys have questions at any point in time, just shoot me an email. Even if you have them tonight, ask me now, because I'm going to get blindsided by questions. So don't be hesitant to ask me here. This is one of the few times I'm going to say that. Because I'd rather be blindsided by you guys, figure out the answers, so I have the answers to those questions when we go to these 3 meetings. So
I will say the new property assessments don't help our.
Oh, they don't help.
Help our cause fee either.
No.
So the property assessment, so that's the biggest The big thing when you want to go out to, if somebody brings that up to you, first thing you say to them is say, how much did your taxes go up? Or how much did your assessment go up? If your assessment went up 70% or less, if nothing changes, your taxes will go down. Because what happens is, it isn't like going to the grocery store and buying food and paying 5% tax on your $100 grocery bill. What it is I come in and say, this is what the taxes we want. So for example, this past year, let's say it was $20 million. I say I want $20 million. And then they take that money and distribute it out to the community. And the way they do that is by what percentage of your house or your property is it worth compared to the whole district? So if you have a $100,000 home and everybody's homes doubled in value, because everybody's value doubled, they have the same percentage, your taxes are exactly the same. And that's where, I mean, I've read some stuff online with the city of Superior because it's a big deal right now where people are like, one, hey, you're going to get a boatload of money now because all the assessed values went up. No, it doesn't work like that. In actuality, when I gave you guys the estimate of what our mill rate is going to be for the first 2 years, I think it was $7.05. I've gotten some new numbers on the equalized value, which is coming in from these assessor stuff. It's actually dropping it down to 680. So the mill rate's dropping. That doesn't mean the taxes are dropping. It just means the percentage going forward is. So that's going to be the biggest thing. This is the absolute worst timing for the city assessment because what's going to happen is people are going to get an uproar right now. They're going to get their tax bill in January and be like, oh, my taxes didn't double. They went up a little bit, just like everything else is. So it's just really bad.
So it's the association of assessments up, they assume taxes are up and now we're gonna take more money for this.
Big
And
panic too.
Because they just assume it's just like going to the store and they pay 5% taxes. Now the assessed value just goes, what percentage is your property worth in comparison to the industry? The only way you get into real issues is, I think the city did it across the board. But let's say they went out and reassessed half the city. Let's say they reassessed Brook and didn't reassess mine. And both our houses worth $100,000. Brooks came back at 200,000. Mine was still 100,000. My taxes are going down. Her taxes are going up.
Yeah.
That's why it's a big thing that they assess it across the board. That's why Parkland already felt this last year. I got calls from Parkland saying, what's going on? My taxes went up. This is crazy. And I looked up, I'm like, yeah, your property got assessed. It jumped up. The other part of it is you get, I believe your property is assessed like when you sell it and when you buy it, you really have a new assessed value. So if you just bought a piece of property last year, it was probably reassessed at that point in time. So your new reassessed amount is not going to be as a high percentage increase as everybody else. So all of a sudden you're going to pay less in taxes. So those reassessed stuff could actually be a good thing for a lot of people out there.
You know, I think it's important for us to have those bulleted items, those talking points. I talked to Amy about that last week because the information that you just provided right now, I would need that in front of me, you know, to sit, really take a look at it and then be able to.
We want to give you a cheat sheet so you have some information. I just haven't been able to put it together until after.
I don't think
Kind of,
you're very busy.
I know, we will, it's on my mind. I haven't forgotten about it.
Because that'll be the big thing. And the SFT, Colin, I mean, it's wonderful, but we need the Superior teachers, the people that live in the community. They're the ones that need to definitely be there. They're the ones that need to bring the friends and stuff. But and nothing against people that live in Duluth, Hermantown and or whatever, because you go through all your own in your own communities and stuff. But the louder that the people can be the louder the teachers can be out of our own city, you know, will have I think, a dramatic effect on this going forward in a positive manner.
And I do think our community is willing to take this on. I think it's just the nice thing we have is we have the truth on our side. These are facts.
Right.
I think Amy met with Governor Evers today. His number one priority is Superior should be going to referendum. It's plain as day like that. You know, when I pulled those numbers, I was astounded at what our numbers are on the average. Our mill rate, well below. Well, what I'm asking for on the increase is still below the state average of what the mill rate is across the state. This year, and it's going to even go higher next year because everybody's going to Operation Forever.
If you can add maybe some do's or don'ts too for board members for,
A lot of don'ts for board members. It's more for staff. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Every sentence with, this is my opinion.
yes, I'm only
Right.
one board member. And then are we recording or live streaming any of this so that people that can't attend in person can get that and rewatch it?
We are?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They have those up.
Okay. Yeah.
And I also want to let you know too, that we have up the frequently asked questions on our website too.
Yes,
Those are
very thorough.
Yeah.
David and I are putting together a short video too that kind of captures the whole situation in 2 minutes. Right, David? That's what it was, right? Like 2 minutes? Okay.
Because it's going to move fast,
Yeah,
you know,
we're gonna have a short.
September 3rd and we've got, what?
I was at the
60
football
something
game
days.
2 weeks ago. It became very apparent people are not aware that this question is being asked and why. So it's more about informing people. We have a plan to share information via email, newsletters, reach out to stakeholder groups. But I think people understanding this is a question that's going to be on the ballot. I think that's important. People didn't even understand that. So Nick, were you going to ask something earlier?
No, I was just saying it's important
Okay.
for board members and teachers to go to that first event and kind of get what the questions are going to be and get what your answers are so we can be prepared. It's meetings we have.
And we also have building meetings set up for each school, staff meetings for us to share more information about the referendum with staff. So they're well informed as well at their buildings. So
So what about PSA? Is that like this Friday, we've got a home football game. Would we be able to have an announcement, you know, throughout the game once or twice, 3 times, you know? The first meeting for the referendum is, you know, something like that. The more you get out there, the
I
better.
think David just goes out at halftime and
with the flag.
there's another community meeting.
At the very least, this Thursday, we're gonna have up a few graphics on the new video board for the referendum
Oh, sure.
and the QR code. So at the very least, we'll have that. If I can kind of work on doing a little.
Friday, sure. Super.
I'm going where David, you're up next. 2 informational items, the Fund 10 expenditure and revenue reports. Anything major on here?
No, it's just, we're still working through this. It's gonna be an ongoing thing. We don't get our numbers until October 15th. So we're gonna have to see what's our budget. So, expenditures at 53, you're gonna see that go up quite a bit here. I think it's at 56 as an estimate. You'll see some changes on that, but the big thing is I have to wait for our third Friday calendar. Third Friday years, 2, and then, equalization and aid finalization isn't until October 1st.
Anything else?
That third Friday count will be the definite third Friday now in this month. That's because we've got the whole month.
But we'll have that information.
Sometimes when it runs with September 1st on a Friday, then it's like 2 weeks into the year. But at least this year will be definite 3 weeks into the year.
That concludes my report.
Does it? All right. Thank you. Next up is our Operations Committee with Sarah Schubert McCone.
No action items, no discussion items, informational items. This summer, the food service team served over 40,000 meals to kids in the community, making sure they had access to healthy food even while school was out. The team was also excited to be a part of the Welcome Back event at the high school, helping kick off the new school year on a positive note. Thank you to food service for that. That's fantastic.
Really good.
It was really good. So many comments. How it was handled, just.
I tried everything.
I did too.
Can't forget to mention the giant pretzels at all the games. I mean,
Sessions, yeah.
yeah,
Take your money.
I keep giving it.
Free practice for all our students. Consider it a donation.
And then we have transportation updates from the Director of Transportation.
Well, as everyone knows, it was the first day of school and we had a really successful day for transportation. I know this was the best day since I've been here. And all the students are off, no one was lost, everyone got home. Last bus is at Park Pump and heading to Pavic now. So I think everything went really great today. And we got the 6th graders tomorrow, so that'll be a challenge, but I think everything's going to go well. for updates for schools, so LSC, we had 3 buses that serviced there. 1 went to Four Corners, 2 moved over to Great Lakes. We were working through the summer on some of the parking issues, and when parents come up for Great Lakes, that has gone well as well. All 3 of the buses that we have for Great Lakes fit those, and with the parent parking, that was going to be some of the concern, but went well there. And we did have 2 new driver starts on routes this year. They were ready, and they completed the route successfully. So yeah, I'll add up a good day for starting school.
All
What
right.
was our ridership, Pat, on that extra bus to the Northern Lights area then? Did we
So
still?
we have 3 park stops for Great Lakes and for Northern Lights.
Okay.
And everyone was utilized. Actually, I have 4 park stops for Northern Lights. Every single one was utilized.
Good.
Any,
I really want to emphasize the fact that Pat's here today. I would have never been here tonight. So the fact that I thought it was going good, and he's just making it better throughout the system. And the fact that he's been able to come to a 5 o'clock board meeting on the first day of school. At this time, when I first started, my secretary was in the car crying. So
It's a long way. Thanks, Pat.
anything else? That concludes my report.
Thank you. Policies and rules, Mr. Gallagher.
All right, couple action items. Administration proposes approval of changes to the following policies based on Neola recommendations in order to be in compliance with federal law updates. First one is first reading of policy 2413, health education. These revisions better align with policy last provided in 2016, with more recent statutory changes reflected in policy 2414, human growth and development, which includes notification requirements. No statutory notification requirements apply to the topics within this policy. Need a motion and a second.
Should approve.
Second.
A motion is second. Any discussion on the policy?
The only thing I just wanted to point out, you guys will often ask me kind of what the basis is for some of the Neola's recommendations. I want to just start putting in our board agenda what their rationale is for these changes. So we've just started adding that to this policy agenda. I think that I can't remember them all off the top of my head by the time I'm here. So we'll just embed those on the agenda from now on. So you can kind of see the rationale. So there's not really anything that changes our practice. It's just reflecting the statute and what we do.
And yeah, I'll note the striking of notifying parents on the instruction. But then it just coincides with 2414. And if you review 2414, that still has the notification of parents and whatnot. And it correlates to some of the stuff in this policy as well. So that's still covered in notifying parents in advance of that content. So it seems like we're taking it out, but we're kind of.
It's not, yeah. And we continue to have the same process in place as we did last year for opting out.
And the process and the registration, I think, goes well. I did it for both my kids in 2 different grade levels, and it came up with all the appropriate stuff for each child.
It links it direct.
School.
Yep.
We'll see how it correlates later on in the year, but it worked out well as far as registration.
Yeah.
Any other discussion on this policy? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. The next one would be to rescind policy 2415, tutoring for credit. This is recommended for rescission because this language is not required in policy. While tutoring for credit may be considered as an educational option, see policy 2370. Having this policy is not a requirement.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion?
We don't do this currently, right, Crystal?
No.
Yeah.
What it's referring to is in our educational
Right.
options already. Like,
Right.
I guess another way to say it is strangely redundant to have this policy.
Yeah.
Anybody have any further discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. I have no discussion items, no informational items, and that's everything I have.
All right, and we'll move on, teaching and learning, Mr. Nick Schumacher.
All right. No action items, no discussion items. One informational item. Jennifer Willoughby, Director of Early Childhood, Family Engagement and Community Services, here to talk about Indian education 4K enrollment updates before and after school programming. Welcome.
So the first thing I want to talk about is the Indian education website. So we have it up here and pulled it up for all of you. We've relocated on our districts. We heard from families that it was kind of hard to find. So we've put it under the schools tab. And we've added some information. It's under, is it under district? Yeah, okay. Thank you. The district tab. We've added some pictures on the front and some information about our American Indian Education Parent Advisory Committee. The APAC is a link up top that you can go to, and that gives information about our monthly parent meetings that we have. We are currently posting and trying to find someone to work with our Indigenous families. So we're looking for a family engagement coordinator to work specifically with our Indigenous families and help plan some activities.
Which is coming out of our title funding.
Yes.
So that's what it's intended for, is our family engagement work.
And we're collecting information from families right now through our parent planning survey. So we're just kind of collecting feedback on what they're looking for, what activities, events, things that they would like to see that we provide for students. And the most exciting part, we were just at all the open houses, most of them. We had tables at all of them. We had staff or parents at most of them. I was at the middle school and it was really, really busy. I had a lot of families come up and talk to me there, collect information. We were collecting 506 forms, which are the forms that we need to collect to turn into the state to receive funding. And so we were collecting those documents, trying to get the word out that we need all of those collected for our students. It's not enough to self-identify within PowerSchool. We need these filled out as well. So we're just trying to get that word out to families to do that. But we had a lot of free books that we were giving out, free books to families and students. And so a lot of people came up and talked to me. And I was also at Cooper. We had some families at the high school and at Northern Lights as well. So it was good. It was great to be out.
Is that form one per child or one per family?
Child.
Okay.
And students don't need to be registered members of a tribe, but we do need a tribal number from a family member. So we can collect, I believe we can use grandparents too, but for sure parents, we can collect that information. So, yeah. So that's exciting news happening in that world. 4K enrollment, I want to kind of give an update on this too. I like to share every year kind of where we're at. The YMCA is back with a teacher this year, so we are in all of our elementary buildings. We partner with Cathedral, YMCA, and Head Start to provide 4K at all of those locations. And we're right about the same as we were last year for enrollment. I was hoping we were going to slightly see a slight increase, but we are right about the same as we were last year at this time. So I guess that's good news. We're not dropping.
Do we have AM and PM at all the elementary schools then?
No.
Oh, okay.
We have AM and PM at Northern Lights, Great Lakes, and Cooper. We have AM only at Bryant and Cathedral and the YMCA. And then we have PM at Four Corners, and Head Start offers full day programming 4 days a week. And that's for families who qualify based on their income guidelines. The YMCA is also offering wrap care for our 4K students at Cooper this year, and we are busing a couple of kiddos, 5 I think, from Northern Lights to the YMCA
For wrap care.
For wrap care. So they're offering wrap care after their YMCA 4K session, and they'll take on a few additional from Northern Lights. So we have that going on. And then last but not least, before and after school programming. We have about 268 students in after school programming right now. 162 of them registered since August 1st. So we've been busy the last month trying to get as many of these kids in and situated and registered. With that, we do have some on a waiting list still for after school programming. We're working on getting staff organized to fill up all of those. And then the district is also overseeing the before school program at Four Corners. The YMCA is taking on the before school program at all of the in-town schools this year. But we kept Four Corners just because they weren't able to accommodate the country school with the travel piece in there. So we're full at Four Corners for before school. And again, we have a wait list there. So we're working on getting additional staffing.
And can I just say, we used to have a partnership with the Y. They used to do our before school programming, and then we did the after school programming. During the pandemic, they were unable to do that. And so we took that on. That has become an increased cost for us, and it's been a challenge to staff it because we then need staff that go from 7 a.m. to 5:30 at night, which creates a challenge for us. And so we approached the Y last year and said, would you be willing to take this back on? And so they are taking it back on. I think there's some bumps in the road. And so we have a meeting coming up with them just to kind of talk through some of the logistics. The Y has always been a good partner, and I anticipate we'll be able to work through some of those kinks. But we have received some concerns, and we will be meeting with them to talk through some of that. But they're a good partner. And
They are, and they're having some growing pains too, just
yeah,
staffing and
same challenges we
same challenges.
experience. Yeah.
Families, not all register really early, so some are registering later, and so it's hard to get staffing to keep up with that in such a short turnaround. But we're working to do our best in it there too. So
How many kids are still on the waiting list? Can you do?
all total for after school, only about 15.
Okay.
Across all the schools. I have about 8 at Four Corners for before school. I'm unsure of how many are on the waiting list for the YMCA before school at this point.
Which I think is the biggest challenge right now.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I see they're hiring and it's hard to find somebody for just those couple of
It is.
hours.
I think the goal was that they would start their day with us and then they'd work at the Y after, I think was the original goal. But
Sure.
Yeah, and we do have, 2 of the schools have staff within the building that are paras that are working
they've
the
hired our
before
staff,
school
yeah.
right at the same school that they work at. And so those roll from one position to another. 2 of the schools didn't get so lucky with staffing, and so they've had to hire outside staff to come in and work those couple hours in the morning. So, any other questions for me? Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. That's it, Steve.
All right, thank you. Next, our Personnel Negotiations Committee, Mr. Taylor.
I have one action item. Administration recommends approval of the September 2024 new hires and separations report.
Motion approved.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
It's like Alyssa got hired twice. That's my notice.
Are we paying her double?
Yeah.
can't read that far away.
I can't.
There's a district in the Northern Lights.
2, 3, 4. Assistant cook. You're gonna use her twice, James?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're gonna use her twice?
Yes.
Different hire dates.
Oh, that's okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? Motion carries. I have no discussion items, no information items, and that is my report, Mr. President.
Pretty fast.
It was.
Whole thing's going kind of quick.
Yeah.
Legislative Committee,
Looks like.
no
it's-
action items, no discussion items, informational items. WASB resolutions, the WASB resolutions book is now updated and posted online. Resolutions adopted by the annual WASB Delegate Assembly set the policy direction for the WASB and its lobbying efforts. Board resolutions for consideration for the 2024 Delegate Assembly must be submitted to WASB by September 15th. And that is all the information from that committee. Couple reminders, Monday, September 9th, now next Monday, our regular meeting. Tuesday, then the 10th, we'll have our first referendum meeting. Is there anything else? All right. Motion to adjourn?
Adjourn.
Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.